The divide between the upper classes and the lower classes is starkly evident in their food selections. Peasant diets tend to centre around grains and bread, while upper classes centre their diet around meat. The most common peasant dishes are either stew or pottage, which is a kind of stew thickened with grain or bread. So what goes into the pottage? Anything thou dost have. Vegetables such as cabbage, leeks, and peas. Grains such as oatmeal or barley. Fresh herbs, small amounts of meat or fish if one does have some, and perhaps even a few spices such as cloves, cinnamon, or nutmeg. Basically, pottage has a little of everything. And the pottage might be simmered over the fireplace for days, and then as it is eaten by the family, more ingredients are constantly added. This brings to mind the nursery rhyme, peas pottage hot, peas pottage cold, peas pottage in the pot, 9 days old. Now, for the most part, we will not be eating pottage in the lanes. Of course, do feel free. However, most fair days will be too warm for pottage.
Oi, I'm Rosemary Monkshood, and what I like to eat for my noon meat is my very own rosemary bog porridge. I got it from the bottom of my pot, and it's delicious. I also like to eat parkin. It's such a good time, especially for dessert.
Villagers, the peasants, the yeomen, and even the local gentry will eat eggs. A lot of them. The eggs that we eat are smaller than modern chicken eggs. They are closer in size to quail's eggs. We also eat a lot of soft cheeses, and we drink both buttermilk and whey. These are all considered commoner foods. Therefore, the upper class do not partake. As one rises in rank, eggs fall off the menu entirely. However, the nobility do love butter and the aged cheeses, particularly when in a sauce. Chicken and other fowl, such as seagull, lark, crane, and duck, are eaten by everyone. Pheasant, partridge, quail, stork, swan, goose, and even the occasional peacock will grace the royal table. Peasants will eat pork and an occasional rabbit. The middle class enjoy more goat, mutton, and even some beef along with their pork. The aristocracy will eat large quantities of all of the meats, except of course the pork, which is popular with peasants. Boar is particularly popular with the nobles, especially at Christmas, even though, or perhaps because, the boar is endangered in the realm. Fish, of course, is eaten by all in Scarborough. The varieties are seemingly endless, markedly due to the fact that any creature found living in the water is in fact considered a fish. Salted fish keeps well for up to 2 years, so we tend to store it that way to guard against times of scarcity. Salt, verjuice, and spiced mustards will grace almost every table. Honey is the sweetener of the day, as cane sugar is still a rare luxury. Vegetables are eaten raw with verjuice and salt. They are pickled, they are thrown into pottage, into stew. We eat a lot of vegetables. Fruits are eaten by everyone, both raw and cooked, and sometimes pickled. Fruits native to the British Isles would be small purple plums, sloughs, wild currants, brambles, raspberries, wood strawberries, cranberries, blackberries, elderberries, haws, hips, hazelnuts, acorns and beech mast. The variety of foods that are served in any given course have nothing to do with appetizer and then main and then dessert. Instead, a wide variety of both sweet and savoury dishes will be served side by side in each course. Their combinations are chosen based on the humours, because balancing the humours was far more important than what goes together in a modern setting. There are, of course, many foods that have not yet arrived in England. Turkey, we have it, but it's still rare, so we are in awe of them at the festival. We do not have bell peppers, potatoes, tomatoes, bananas, coffee. We don't have peanuts. We definitely don't have blueberries. Next, what do we drink? The easy answer, the quick answer is small ale. With the exception of milk products, people seldom drink anything that has not been fermented. All social classes brew and drink ale at home. Ciders are popular with the middle class. Mead or fermented honey is seen more in Wales and is not a regular part of the English diet. Wine, of course, is the drink of choice for the nobility. It might be watered down during the day, it might be spiced, it might be double fermented, such as a port. However one serves it, wine is the most sought after drink. But not English wines. Never English wines. Now, we have chatted a bit about the actual foods that we eat in the 16th century. However, we know that theatre sometimes wins over history, and keeping our actors happy, healthy, and fed, and sober, is far more important than eating like a 16th century villager. Keeping hydrated is far safer than drinking nothing but ale all day. So let us ask our villagers what they bring for their noon meat.
So my name is Edward Fisher, and this is what I do taking to the lanes when I'm for my noon meat. We have a bit of preserved sausage here, and as delicious as that is, it's not part of a rounded diet because we do have to have our fruits, dried, berries and grapes, apples, whatever we have. However, I did see a cow eating one of these once, and I thought, you know, if it's good enough for the cow, it might be good enough for me. It's a bit bitter. I like it. Yeah, turnips. Never thought they'd be good, but here we are today. Right. Oh, that was delicious. Also, we've got a bit of dried strawberries, dried berries, and my favourite, absolutely always, is a dried apple. A regular apple's perfect, but a dried one lasts longer and just tastes so good. Yeah, dried apple. That's the way to do it.
I have brought a selection of wonderful foods that are lovely to enjoy on a festival day. Bread, obviously, will keep you going right along. I have some almonds that have a wonderful bit of protein that are also good to keep in your pouch for when you need a bit of a snack. Grapes are lovely and refreshing, especially if you can keep them cool in some way. And as we are in a port town, I do have some small salted fish. Those are really good. I also have some cheese and strawberries.
Good din. I be Eliza Scribner, and today I bring some of the favorite treats that I enjoy for my noon meat. Some lovely vegetables from my garden, some turnips, some carrots, some meats, including some dried beef, some lovely oat bread, and of course, must have nuts, of course, and then some lovely little biscuits for dessert.
I'm Nell Turner, the Lady Bread of Scarborough, and as gentry, I'm able to have a bit of a fancier meal than most of the peasantry of the yeomanry. Fresh fruit is always a plus, as well as candied nuts, pickled vegetables if we cannot have fresh, some fine cheeses and meats, and of course, what Lady Bread would be complete without her bread and butter. There's also a bit of sweetness with some fresh honeycomb and an apple, just to round things out.
Canst thou tell me, how dost thou make thine beautiful butter?
Oh, not much for asking. So the butter is made from fresh cream, what is made by our village milkmaids, gathered up. And then it is agitated, for lack of a better word, until the cream does become frothy and eventually will solidify into butter. And it's best when fresh made.
Good den. I am Bernice Brookbank, the Lady Banks of Scarborough. And this day I have prepared some dried fruits, some toasted bread, and some smoked sausages that are dried and wrinkled, such as mine own soul. I find that it is quite useful to bring these items with me to the joust specifically, because it is easy to carry into a random kerchief and sit upon the throne while munching away, while watching the jousters fight to the death. It is the best thing ever to watch.
Good evening, I be the Goodman Jacob Tanner, and I know it's kind of unusual that I would actually be holding an old chicken like this, but when the rooks have a revel and all the village comes up, you would find something like this, an herb roasted chicken with parsnips as a main meal. And this is about one of the only times that I would actually get a chance to try something like this. And yeah, that's very nice looking. I think I'm about to tuck in onto it. Right.
Let us speak of manners. Napkins and bowls of clean water would be seen at every table, so that guests could be clean before, during, and after eating. We use only spoons and knives, as forks would not be introduced to England until 1608, and even then they were usually considered an affectation of people whose hands were obviously not clean enough to touch their food. Manners in period are just as complicated as any Victorian dinner party. While we only have 2 utensils instead of the vast array of silverware, we still have all the social rules to follow. Where one sits is determined by social class, by title, by age, by popularity in court, by manners. Who is served first is determined by their rank. When you get to eat depends on when the highest ranking person, or the host, takes his first bite. Luckily, we will worry about none of this for our purposes. What does Lady Banks have to say about manners?
Good den. I am Bernice Brookbank, the Lady Banks of Scarborough, and this day I am going to explain manners. Very important subject, so be certain to pay attention. All right, so we always wear our handkerchiefs either on the arm or on the shoulder, on the left. This is very important detail because usually at the table we have a communal bowl to which we will grab food from with our left hand and put it in our trencher, from which we will eat out of with our right. And once we are done eating, we can use that towel or kerchief to wipe off our fingers.